Right, I'm back with Asbo 43 and today I'm doing a bit of work on the clutch to see if I can eliminate the dreaded slip and drag, and I've come up with a few things I'm about to discuss, but one of them I noticed was this push rod wobbling around rather a lot inside its passageway through the main shaft. Now, I've tried this in some other main shafts that I've got about the place and it's a much better, closer fit than that. So whether there's actually wear through the main shaft drilling or whether it's just been drilled bigger or what, I don't know really. Having given it some consideration, I decided to have a rummage and I found this old valve. I think this one is actually out of the Honda CB500T, and with a bit of persuasion and slight modification I've got it to fit in there, and it doesn't wobble about so much because the stem is of a greater diameter than the original push rod, so that's taken care of some of that problem. But also what I've done is I've ground the head of the valve down so it can just move freely between the three clutch pressure plate bolt posts, so it can't wobble around too much anyway because of them. And then that got me thinking, actually, how true do these pressure plates really run? And I've been sorting through some plain plates, selective assembly. I've been putting them on that sheet of glass there and checking them, and I've picked the best that I could find out of what was in there and some other ones that were about the place. So I've actually probably eliminated quite a bit of flex and buckling there just by replacing those, because what you don't want is for part of your clutch lever movement to just be allowing the plain plates to sort of spring into the shape that they want to be. You want them to be perfectly flat in an ideal world, so that every millimetre of movement of that clutch cable goes towards lifting the pressure plate. Very hard to get, but I've been working on trying to get some more lift than that. And what I did, I put the pressure plate in the 4-jaw chuck in the lathe and actually clocked it until I just got the minimum run out when I put a dial gauge against the face of it, clamped it up and then skimmed the face so that it was perfectly flat all the way around. But also, while it was in the jaws of the chuck, I've machined the centre where the push rod would bear to blend in and match what is now going to be the push rod. So I should hopefully have a dead straight lift with the stem of what is now the push rod at 90 degrees to the pressure plate face, whatever happens, and however they may rotate against each other and so on. So I'm hoping to put that lot together now and find out that I've got much better and more even lift than we had before. So I'll put it together and then we'll have a look and see what we've got. Right, I've got my clutch all back together now, and I've actually selectively assembled the springs as well. We had the set that was in the clutch when the bike came here, and we had another set of heavier duty springs that the owner bought, and I've used the softer 3 of those 6 with 3 of the originals. And it might be possible to see, I've actually put a copper washer behind one spring just to even out the lift when the pressure plate lifted off the first friction plate, because it was still lifting slightly askew, and I think that might be down to slight variations in supposedly equal and same spec springs possibly, but whatever. I think I've got it quite good now, and I'll put the camera down here where hopefully we should be able to see the clutch pressure plate and also just about see a bit of the back wheel. I've got the bike in gear and hopefully I won't knock the camera flying. And if I spin the wheel like that, obviously it's driving the main shaft of the gearbox around and the pressure plate too, and hopefully we can see that that's lifted nice and evenly with no sort of throw or wobble. So that's going to minimise any potential drag problems that might be caused there. I've also got the clutch operating mechanism set up to what I would like to think optimises it, and the only thing left is that there. I'm not a big fan of those levers, I've got to say. There's other setups and arrangements that can give a bit more linear pull on the clutch cable than those. Sometimes I've ground a little bit of material away there to allow the lever to sort of move further away from the handlebar, but I mean there's only so far you can go with that, because not everybody can reach as far as anybody else or everybody else, so that's down to personal taste, but I could do that for the owner if he would like me to. And around here, you can't really see this, but hopefully, perhaps you might be able to take my word for it, it wouldn't even make any difference, I don't think, if I had a torch. But hang on, here we go. Let's light things up anyway. Now this lot in here, hopefully we can see that. We've got the clutch operating arm. It's not quite thrown out far enough to touch against the outer cover of the gearbox. You don't want that. I would say it's probably about a centimetre inward from that point, and that, combined with a length of push rod that I prefer and set here, if you look at the angle of the clutch actuating arm, it's just back towards me from the 90-degree point. It's probably at about maybe nudging possibly nearly 120, something like that. Let's say that there's 40 degrees of movement. Now I probably can't reach the clutch lever and hold the camera here, but basically what you want is you want that there to be at 90 degrees with the engine in line with the exhaust pipe, if you like, when the clutch is half lifted, and that optimizes or maximizes the movement that you'll get when you convert from cable movement to clutch pushrod movement. And that can be quite critical and have quite an effect actually. If those angles aren't quite right, you can lose quite a bit of movement, and you do need every millimetre of movement that you can get, or at the pressure plate every thousandth of an inch even. It's all vital to getting these things to even work half decently, never mind perfectly. But I'm happy with how the clutch is assembled now, and I'm happy with the arrangement of the pressure plate springs. I think my Honda valve is probably an improvement over the old pushrod setup, especially in the case of this machine where the old pushrod was able to wobble around and probably go off centre and help lift the pressure plate a bit lopsided. That can't happen anymore. So I think we're going the right way with it anyway.